save me. And I was just like, save me. And at that moment, I didn't even realize it, but Jesus literally snatched me from that scene and took me somewhere else. I was crying so much and I was so hysterical. My phone might be dying. Anyway, I was crying. I was so hysterical and I screamed out, Jesus, save me. Jesus, save me. And when I said that, at that moment, that thing went, he was about to stab me in my back. And all of a sudden, I was not there anymore. But I didn't even realize it yet because I was so terrified at that moment, right? And I was still hysterical, still crying, still crying, still crying. And then I started feeling like someone was stroking my hair. Like this. Stroking my hair, stroking my hair. And I'm still crying, just... you know? And then when I felt someone stroking my hair, even though my eyes were closed, I could still see a glow and a form of a hand, but it was blurry, right? And this was with my eyes closed. I could still see that light, right? So I just remember these strokes on my hair, you know? And I started feeling peace and I just started feeling so comforted, you know? And then I remember that when every stroke, right? I remember that with every stroke of my hair, it felt as if, let's say someone were to, you know, just completely open your head up, right? And just peel it back, you know, the skull and everything. It felt as though, and someone was pouring this water. It started from the crown of my head. It was as though someone was pouring this water inside of my body. And I could feel the water over every piece of my body, every part of my being. Even the individual eyelashes, I could literally feel the water going in each eyelash, each single eyelash, each inch of my skin, I could feel the water going in. Okay? Everything, your eyes, everything, each individual strand, each individual hair, I could feel the water going inside of, not on it, inside of it, right? Each part of my lips, each tooth, each fingernail, every single thing, I could feel the water washing me clean from the inside out. So it was, God was washing me clean. He was like literally washing me clean from the inside out. And the water, I call it water. He's the living water, I believe. So I do believe that's what it was. His water, him. I like to call it liquid love because that's the only way you can really describe it. It was a love. It was liquid like water, but it was love. I can't even explain this love because it's not a human love. It's not on the level that we know love to be. It's so beyond that. It was It's the most purest thing. And it kind of reminded me of like a thick substance, but it was like water, but it was like this thick substance and like a gel almost, but it was inside. And like I say, it cleaned every inch of me. This liquid love. Every stroke I could feel like that. It was just being poured inside of me, washing me clean, washing me clean. And then I remember I became more calm. And I remember when a tear fell from my eyes. I remember his finger, his hand. He did this. And he wiped my tear away. And then, and mind you, I still had my head down, right? He wiped my tear away. And then his hand, he lifted my chin like this. Just slightly. And when I opened my eyes, I realized I was not in that place anymore of danger. I had my head rested on his lap. It was like he was sitting on a throne. Okay, I hadn't seen that yet, but my head was like this. When he was stroking my hair and pouring his liquid love in, he wiped my tear and he tilted my head. When he tilted my head, I opened my eyes and I was in a place, it was like I was surrounded like in pure white, like how you see on TV when they act like someone died, you know. This place was just so white, but again, it was like so white that you can't explain it. White is the closest thing we can say, but it is so much purer than that. It's on its own level, you know. And I kind of just looked around at my surroundings, you know, and it literally looked like I was sitting on clouds. And I know that you can't sit on a cloud, but I could sit on a cloud then, right? So I'm looking around, you know, just trying to take it all in, like, you know, where am I at, you know? And like I said, I wanted to see, who is this person, you know? So I started from the top and worked my way up. But you know, the funny thing, I could kind of see myself at a distance too. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I looked around and I was in this place that was pure white, and it looked like, you know, like I'm sitting on this cloud. So I started at the bottom, you know, and I was gonna, like, I guess go from his feet and make my way up to see who is this person, right? And when I didn't see his feet, because I did see something that looked like a white robe, but the white robe was so white and so pure that it blended into the cloud. Like, even though I could tell it apart, you kind of couldn't. It all blended together. So I'm looking, you know, and trying to trace, you know, my way up. And then I get about halfway up here, but I started to notice that there was like, I don't know what you call it, but you know, like if you had how do you say, shawl, or like, you know, like how a priest wears like one of those long scarves. So I had this white robe, and then there was like this, I guess you could call it a scarf, but it was actually part of his robe, and it was about that wide, about that wide, right? And it was really thick, and his garment had this gold. It was like just pure solid gold from one into, I mean, and that thing had to be heavy. Like, how could someone even wear that, you know? it started from the top all the way down to the end of the robe, you know. And when I kind of got about here, it kind of looked like there was something woolly. It almost looked like if he had a white beard, like kind of like cotton, or like, because it blended into the whiteness, the pureness of everything. I couldn't make it out, but it just really seemed like there was something woolly going on right around here. Okay. So then when I realized, you know, like he's sitting in a chair and I have my head on his lap. So he was like sitting in a throne, but the throne also was so white I couldn't make it out all the way, but it kind of looked like a cloud as well. You know, like it, not a cloud, but it blended into the cloud, you know? So when I go to look at his face, first it seemed like he was about a 6-foot person sitting in this throne. But once I went to go look at his face, the more I tilted, you know, went upward, you know, like all of a sudden it was just like he was so huge. And I remember it was like my eyeballs rolled into the back of my head. Like, that's like how I was looking up. And when I went to look in his face, it was just like I was staring at the sun. I couldn't see a face. It was blurry, you know. All I can say is like looking at the sun or looking at fire or something, you know, because it had like, it just seemed like you should have heard like a sound that illuminated, you know, like, but, you know, it was like colors, like, you know, I guess like you could say it was so bright, like looking in the sun, it was blurry, you know. Or like fire, because there were like different colors, like how you would see in fire, you know. I couldn't see his face. But I knew it was Jesus Christ. I knew it was God. And when I'm looking into his face, you know, where his face would be, he said, and I'm looking like this, he said, "Do you believe in me?" And I looked up and I just said, "Yes." Now his voice, it's not a voice you can say, oh, you know, he kind of sounds like this person, or he kind of sounds like that person. His voice is all his own. He doesn't sound like anyone or anything. He just sounds like himself. And how I can explain his voice would be, it was everything at one time. It was as though it was just so soft, like you would imagine like a flowing river, you know? But then at the same time, it was like thunder, because it had so much authority, you know? Even though he didn't holler at you or whatever, it was all at one time. It was everything at one time. It's the only way I can explain it. And when he said, "Do you believe in me?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Then have faith." Then have faith. That's all he said. "Do you believe in me? Then have faith." And when he said, "Have faith," all of a sudden, I was no longer in that place. I was back at that warehouse, surrounded by those demons. And that demon was coming at me again. And he had his hand, that knife, and he was ready to kill me. And he was walking towards me so fast. And he was holding that knife up and walking to me. And I thought, why did he put me back here in this spot? Why would he put me here? And then I said, what did he tell me? He said to have faith, to have faith. So then I started to just like, my hands started going up. Actually, like my hands were going up on their own. And I didn't know, if that meant I was surrendering or something. So I actually fought against that invisible force that I couldn't see. And I was trying to push my arms down, but something was raising them up. And I started saying, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, because he told me to believe in him and have faith in him. So when that demonic spirit got ready to try to kill me, I just screamed, I believe. And God took me again. And he placed me in another part of that building. And I said, how did I get in this room? How did I get here? And I looked over. And I could see a light on in another room. And I could hear the vacuum going. And I saw my mom in there, and she was vacuuming the room. So I walked in there to where she was at. And she turned off the vacuum, and she just stared at me. She looked at me up and down. And she said, what happened to you? She said, why are you all wet? I said, what do you mean? She said, look at yourself. And when I looked at my clothes, my hair, I was completely soaking wet, as if it was like if someone had pushed me in the pool, and when you're trying to get out, and the water feels heavy, and you're just completely soaked, and it's running off of you. Like, that's how it was. That was because, Jesus had washed me clean, and he had saved me. And there's so many things I didn't learn till later on in life. Every year he taught me more, because I begged him, please take that memory from me. Don't ever let it happen to me again. I don't want to remember any of this, but he didn't take it away from me. And I'm glad he didn't take it away from me, because it saved my life, moving forward. Anytime I've been down, anytime I've lost hope, I remember he said, have faith. And I know if he was there for me before, he'll be there for me again. He's real. None of this was a dream. I was wide awake when all these things happened to me. I didn't know, but when he told me to have faith, It wasn't only that he was saying, believe in me. He was saying, here, have faith. He was giving it to me. He was giving me faith as a gift, a spiritual weapon. He was giving it to me. And he put me back in that spot so that I would know how to use it. Because he wants us to know the power we have in his name. He wants us to know that he hasn't abandoned us and he hasn't left us. He wants us to know that he's given us power and he wants us to use it. Yes, we can call on his name, but he doesn't want us to forget that he gave us faith as a gift and as a weapon, and we're supposed to use it. I'm sorry this took so long. It's like 1 hour and 40 minutes. Anyway, thank you for listening. I do plan on sharing more things that's happened throughout my life. You know, I've had a really close fellowship with God. And I felt bad because I was always ashamed to try to make a video. I felt, oh, you don't look pretty enough, or, you know, or whatever. And now it's like I'm waiting until I get older, and now I'm making the videos. But I'm trying not to think like that. You know, so I just felt God really putting it on my heart to start sharing these things. You know, I don't want to come before him one day and hear how I could have helped save someone, you know, you know, by letting them hear a message of hope or something. You know, I would like to be used as well, you know, so I'm trying to push that aside and just do what he tells me to do when he tells me to do it. Anyway, so thank you all for listening. Oh, and I just want to tell you another thing. You know, I was saying that, you know, when I was before his presence, you know, I could see myself from a distance sometimes, and let me tell you, I looked really good. My hair was so long and it was so thick and so full, and I was about 19 when this all happened, but you know, it's like I got to see myself like on the spirit level. And I mean, we're some outstanding, beautiful people in the spirit, so we really have something to look forward to, I tell you. I shined, you know, and it's just beautiful. God is real. Jesus is real. What he did for us is real. And we should do something. You know, we need to love better. We need to be kind to each other. Thank you for watching. God bless.